Good Yantif, good morning. We wish you all a good Gamar Chatima Tova, a good inscription and sealing in the book of life as we continue our Yom Kippur, our Day of Atonement worship today together as an extended Congregation Beth Shalom Rodfei Tzedek community. We are so glad that you are with us today, and we know and we feel you all with us. We feel your spirit, your ruach, your neshamas all with us as we embark on this important and sacred day together. We will be worshiping together. Hopefully you either have a hard copy of your machzor with you, or you have found and procured a digital copy of the machzor, either a Kindle copy or a free copy of the flip book, and we will be announcing page numbers as we go. And so I hope you'll be with us all day. We have throughout our day our morning service right now, you're here, and then we have a children's service at 2 o'clock, and throughout the day services will be, or the room will be opening about 15 minutes before each service. We have our afternoon service, which will be brand new. It'll be a contemplative and meditative and singing service that you'll hear more about later. That one will begin at 3:30. We have Yizkor beginning at 5, and then Ne'ilah at 5:45. And we do hope you'll be with us throughout the day. A reminder about fasting that we hope it is meaningful for you and helps to make your day more focused and help remind you of the control that we are able to have over our needs and over our bodies, but as well the people in our world for whom missing a day's worth of meals is more commonplace. And we are able to become more sensitive to those who are not able to simply choose not to eat each day. And we can have more compassion for those in our midst. And so I do remind you to feel and experience that sensitivity as well. We are going to be as well, even though normally for Ne'ilah at the end of the day, we are invited to all blow our shofarot together as one community, and we'll miss out on that moment. We do have an alternative that I hope you'll find exciting if you wish to participate in this way, which is that why not share our big Tekiah Gedolah with our communities at large? And so, if you feel especially courageous, we do invite you, if you have a shofar at home, even one of those plastic ones, to open up your front door or open your window. And when we get to that Tekiah Gedolah, go ahead. Blow that shofar. Let everyone feel the call, that wake-up call of the new year. So we'll let you know at the end of our day, and we can share that shofar blast with our entire community. So we're going to turn now in our machzorim to page 137 at the bottom of the page. Author of life, you care for us, your care for us teaches us to care for ourselves. Embraced by you, I embrace your mitzvah, choose life. On this holy day of atonement, let my spirit as well as my body be nourished by the food and drink that will sustain me through the day. Blessed with strength and well-being, may I pursue a life of teshuvah, tefillah, and tzedakah, return to the right path, prayer, and righteous giving. Page 138.
Israel.
And now on page 160, we come to a group of prayers known as Nisim B'chol Yom, the miracles that we experience or we hope we will experience every single day. And we are so honored to have one of our upcoming Benot Mitzvah, Gloria Conley, leading us in these prayers in the Hebrew. And you at home are welcome to chant along with her. So Gloria, we are ready for you to lead us.
Should I read the English translation? You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power and mine gave mine discriminate to distinguish light from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bokei ha'ivim. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power opens eyes that cannot see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hatir ha'asurim. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power brings freedom to the captive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dokei ha'ivim. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power lifts up the atonement. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bokei ha'aretz. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power spreads light upon the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa lichut b'yadih. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power has made all I need. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam amhim mitzarei gafer. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power gives firmness to our steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malpi sharim. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten le'alei torah. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir she'eino u'nolam me'achar. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power removes sleep from my eyes, troubles from my eyes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power has made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'ad ha'olim. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power endowed me with freedom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power has made me Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam otzer Yisrael b'torah. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power gives strength to Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam otzer Yisrael b'torah. You are the source of blessings, Adonai. Your great power crowns Israel with glory.
Yasher Koach. Wow, Gloria. And you, of course, are all invited to help Gloria celebrate her bat mitzvah on October 17th. That was super incredible, and we are so proud of you. And early mazel tov. We now turn to page 170.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehalleluya, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama.
And page 178, and all who are able are invited to please rise.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Page 181. Please join me in the middle of the page. Like an unbroken current, energy streams from the source, bathing the planet in light, calling forth life, movement, mind unfolding from matter, the power to love, and we offer it back to you, our own creative energy, ever dreaming, building, shaping patterns out of chaos, searching out light in the darkness. Creation never ceases, not for an instant. All life is aglow with your light. All things draw sustenance from the source. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMi'orot. Page 186.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
Before we come to Micha Mocha on page 196, I wanted to share with you one of the readings that made up our Elul reflections that really spoke to me, and I know to a number of you. And this was from Rabbi Karen Kedar and her book, Amen, Seeking Presence with Prayer, Poetry, and Mindfulness Practice, entitled To the God of Doubt. Dear God, why? Help us understand why this eerie darkness falls upon daylight, smoke and ash, and unnatural silence, then moaning, then sirens, then screams, and shock, disbelief, anger, sadness. We cannot look away. We must not turn away. Help us to have faith and courage when there is confusion and doubt. Give us the strength to look into the eyes of the wicked, to be defiant and determined. May we prevail. May we have the resolve and wisdom to bring safety to our broken and fractured world. Dear God, bring healing to those in pain and comfort to those bereaved. You created this world from light and goodness. You make peace in the high heavens. Help us find the way to make peace here on earth. God of doubt, hear our prayer.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. שירה חדשה, שיבחו גאולים לשמחה, שפת הים, יחד כולם, הודו והמלכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובתכינו מלכה, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
And now, on page 198, we've arrived at the tefillah, the Amidah, our standing prayer. And so for all who are able, I invite you to please rise.
Adonai, Adonai, Sifatai tiflach, uvi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, U'mevii geula livnei bneihem, Lema'an shemo v'yahava. Zachrenu, Zachrenu lechaim, Melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chodvenu b'sefer ha'chaim, lemancha Elohim לחיים, מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחייב ומצמיח ישועה, מי כמוך, מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצורה לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. Page 208. Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love, your reign is a reign of truth. In truth you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other. And so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. All who come into the world pass before you like sheep before their shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life. You set bounds. You decide destiny, you inscribe judgments. On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted?
Uteshuva, utefila, utedaka, mavirin et roa, agzeira.
But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. You are everything that we praise you for, slow to anger, quick to forgive. You do not wish the death of sinners, but urge them to return from their ways and live. Until the day of death, you wait for them. You accept them at once if they return. Since you created us, you know our impulses. We are but flesh and blood. Page 218, please rise for the Kiddusha.
Mikadesh et shemcha ba'olam, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב ביד נביאך, וכרע זלזל ויאמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir Shimcha, B'chol ha'aretz, Baruch Elon Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, vehu yashmienu, birachamav le'enei kochai, ani Adonai Elohechem. Yimloch ha'olam, Elohai Zion, Le'or v'ador, Hallelujah. For those who were able to join us during our Rosh Hashanah morning service last week, you might recall some of the words that I'll be saying today. I have again the opportunity to speak for just a moment about the fact that this past May, we lost the beautiful soul of John D. Nicola, beloved congregant, teacher, musician, and cantorial partner on the Bema for over 20 years. And I also said last week that if there is a silver lining to all that we are experiencing right now, it is the fact that this format, the technology, gives us an incredible opportunity to hear John's voice again. And for those who are in this space, he is here, and his spirit, I know, is traveling everywhere at the same time. It's fitting that this one prayer we were able to record is this one, L'Dor V'Dor, which translates to generation, and as these words have been sung, as Rabbi will say, for millennium, by those who came before us, for those who are present now, and for those who will come after us, may John's precious memory be for many blessings.
Thank you so much for allowing us to share in John's voice once again, and for allowing us to invite him into our space and our hearts once again. And now on this holiest of days, we take time for silent personal prayer. Please continue on your own through page 250, And yes, that is 30 pages. We don't expect you to read every page or every prayer, but instead choose whatever prayers speak to your heart. You may be seated at any time. And of course, include your own prayers. What do you need to say right now to God, to the divine, to the universe? Take your time. We'll continue silently.
And who by fire, who by water, who in the sunshine, who in the nighttime, who by high ordeal, who by common trial, who in your merry, merry month of May, who by very slow decay, and who shall I say is calling? Who in her lonely slip,
Who by barbiturate,
who in these realms of love, who by something blunt,
who by avalanche,
who by powder,
who for his greed,
who for his hunger, and who shall I say is calling? Who by
fire?
Who by water?
Who in the sunshine?
Who in the nighttime?
Who by high ordeal?
Who by common trial?
Who in your merry, merry month of May?
Who by very slow decay?
And who
Shall I say is calling? Who shall I say is calling?
We now turn in our Machzorim to page 252 for Avinu Malkeinu. We invite you all to please rise. Please join me in the English. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing. Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Treat us with tender compassion. And now we remain standing, and we continue with Seder Kriyat Torah, the service surrounding the reading of the Torah for our Yom Tov, for Yom Kippur, the first of our Torah readings today. We actually the only Torah reading we have today, because of our brand new afternoon service later today. We turn to page 256, and we continue.
ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקה. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'norah Shemo, Gadlu Adonai iti, u'neromema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz lecha Adonai hamamlacha Yamin Naseh Lechol Rosh.
Please be seated. We are incredibly honored to have our aliyot, those who will be blessing the Torah reading on this Yom Kippur morning, and our readers, those who will be chanting or reading from the Torah on this Yom Kippur morning. And so for our first aliyah, it's a pleasure to call upon Stephen Rosenberg and Michelle Kleiman. And for our first reader, it is an honor to call upon Evelyn Foster.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher baka banu mikol ha'amim, ונתן לנו את תורתו. Baruch atah Adonai נותן התורה.
Amen.
אמן. אתם ניצבים היום, כולכם לפני אדוני אלוהיכם, ראשיכם שבטיכם, זקניכם ושוטריכם, כל איש ישראל, כפכם, נשיכם וגרך, אשר בקרב מחניך, נכותב עציך עד שואב ממך, לעברך בברית אדוני אלוהיך ובעלתו, אשר אדוני אלוהיך כורת עמך היום.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher Koach. And forgive me for not giving you a page number. We're on page 266 in the Machzor if you'd like to be following along on this wonderful Torah portion, which is Parashat Nitzavim we just read a week or two ago, which is one of the most democratic and wonderful portions that says this covenant is for everybody. It is open to all of you, no matter what your age, what your job, where your economic status is, your socioeconomic status. This covenant is for all of you. So as you're following along in the English, we hope you're enjoying that. So Yasher Koach to all of you. Our second Aliyah will be blessed by David, Terry, and Sarah Fogel, and will be read by Stephen Rosenberg.
Yamdu, Shimon David ben Yehuda, Uniam bat Leah, Urachel bat David Hashenit. Oops.
Oh, it sounds like you guys are still muted. Can you try again and unmute yourself? No, not yet. Seth is unable to mute you. Is it something on your side? They are unmuted.
Yeah.
Is your microphone on? Try one more time. No, we can't hear you. Are you on a Mac? Nope. Got a mic? Oh no, Fogels.
How about now?
Yes, got it. Yes.
Baruch hu Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
אמן. למען הקימותך היום לא לעם, והוא יהיה לך לאלוהים כאשר דיברה וכאשר נשבע לאבותיך, לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, ולא איתכם לבדכם אנוכי כורת את הברית הזאת ואת העלה הזאת, כי את אשר ישנו פה עמנו עומד היום לפני אדוני אלוהינו, ואת אשר איננו פה עמנו היום.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach. That was wonderful. And that last verse that was chanted is one of my most favorite in the whole Torah, if one may say such a thing. Because as you know, I wrote my rabbinic thesis on conversion, and there's a really neat midrash on that verse that says, when it talks about those of you who are standing here this day receiving the covenant, and those of you who are not here this day. And the rabbi said, what does that mean? Those of you who are standing here and those of you who are not here. And the rabbi said, those of you who are not here standing, not standing here, those are all of you who will one day choose to be Jewish, those of you who will convert. And so you're receiving the covenant right now as well. And so when you convert, you're here. And so we're not welcoming you to Judaism. In fact, we're welcoming you back. And I think that's pretty cool. So our third and final aliyah will be blessed by Allie Rosenblum and Liz Jones, and will be read once again by Stephen Rosenberg. He's going to actually be jumping ahead to chapter 30, verse 11.
Tamdu Elisheva bat Abraham v'Sara u'Alitza bat Shmuel v'Devora ha'Shlishit.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Havolach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher b'chanu kol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
אמן. כי המצווה הזאת אשר אנוכי מצפה היום לא נפלאת היא ממך ולא רחוקה היא לא בשמיים היא לאמור מי יעלה לנו השמיימה ויקהה לנו וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה ולא מעבר לים היא לאמור מי יעבר לנו אל עבר הים ויקהה לנו וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata betohenu. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach. Thank you all. This was one of the toughest things for us to figure out, was how we were going to do the Torah reading in this time, in this age of Zoom. So thank you all for being patient as we thought of various solutions, and it was really very special to have you all participate. So really, Yasher Koach. Now, while the Torah is out and in our midst, and we feel that extra little bit of connection to God, we take a moment to offer prayers of healing to those in our families, those in our communities, our circles, our social circles, our world. And so if you have somebody in your life who you are thinking of who needs healing, take a moment to just to think of them, to draw them close, to feel them close to you. And for those of you who have been with us recently on Shabbatot, you've become familiar with this beautiful song by Ellen Allard that Cantor Belinda has taught us. And she and Meg will be singing it with us now.
So this particular version is very straightforward. Refuat hanefesh, healing of the soul. Refuat haguf, healing of the body. Refuah hashlema, a complete wholeness and healing. And we're going to do it 3 times as we consider our ever-expanding circles of connection. Refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuat I sing these words for you. So we have many in our community who are in need of our healing, and we're going to pretend that they're closer by to us in a way that maybe we can just reach out a hand and touch their kepi, touch their shoulder, their knee, and send all of our love, all of the healing energy that we can in this strange cyberspace that we're living in right now. Refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuat leima, refuat leima. I sing these healing words for you. I sing these words for you. And for this final round, we think of so many people out in the world who need healing. And we collectively, with great energy, come together and put out these words in hopes to make the air a little bit lighter for everybody. Refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuat leima, refuat leima. I sing these healing words for you. I sing these words for you.
Amen. We will now continue with the lifting and dressing of the Torah, Hagba and Galila. And this, of course, this tradition is because we are all meant to be reading and studying the Torah on Shabbatot and on festivals and holidays. And so this tradition allows us all to experience and see the Hebrew that was read and to therefore experience it as if we've all had a chance to read the Hebrew. And then we will dress the Torah and allow it to sit here when it is time for the Haftarah portion as well. And so we turn to page 274, and I invite you all to please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקדשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקדשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקדשו.
Please be seated. Dressing the Torah with social distancing. Okay, it's always a treat to hear Ethan Galler chant Haftarah each year. We will be on page 277 for Isaiah chapter 58. Such an incredible prophetic reading. It's so important. And often it feels ironic because it's God saying to us through the prophet Isaiah, what is this fast that you are doing? Are you just fasting to say you did? And to say, look what I did, I fasted, and that should be enough for the year. And Isaiah is saying to us, this isn't what I want, is just for you to say I fasted and I'm a good Jew and that's all I need to do. Isaiah is saying, make sure you're doing all the other actions, the ethical actions that are so very important, not just some of the mitzvot that are all about you internally. It's about the external actions about other people, taking care of others, that are important. So Ethan will be leading us in our Haftarah portion, and it's a privilege to turn it over to him now.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hanemarim bemet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo Yisrael amo, uvinbiei haemet batzedek. Kara begaron al tachshoch, kashofar harem kolecha, v'haged le'ami pisham, ulavet Yaakov chatotam. Ve'oti Yom Yom Yidroshun V'da'at Dracha Yechvatzun Kegoy Asher Tzedakah Asa Umishpat Elohai Lo Azab Yish'aluni Mishpatei Tzedek Kirbat Elohim Yechvatzun Lama tzamnu velo ra'ita ininu nafshenu velo teda hen bayom tzomchem t'imtzeu chefetz veko atzvechem t'ingoshu hen lariv umatzah tatzumu ulechakot be'egrof re'esha lo tatzumu kayom lahashmiya bamarom kolchem Hakazeh yetzom efcharehu yom anot adam nafsho halakof kegmon rosho vesa'ak ba'efer yatzia halazeh tikratzon veyom ratzon ladonai. Halozeh tzom efcharehu pateach hartzubot resha hater agudot motah veshalach retzutzim chavshim vekol motah tenateku. Halo paras labraev lamecha ve'aninim miradim tavid bayit ki tere aros v'kis ato uv'mifsharcha lo titalam. Az yibakacha kashacha orecha baruchtecha mehira titzmach v'halach lefanecha tzidkecha kevod Adonai yaspecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol ha'olamim tzadik b'kol hadorot ha'el ha'neman ha'omer v'oseh ha'mdaber u'mkayem shekol devarav emet batzedek al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al hanvi'im yom ha'kippurim hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu lemchila u'slicha u'kapara lekavod u'tiferet Al hako Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umbarchim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed udbachai emet v'kayam la'ad Baruch atah Adonai מלך מוכר וסולח לעוונותינו לעוונות עמו בית ישראל, ומעביר אשמותינו בכל שנה ושנה, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ביום הכיפורים.
Amen.
Yasher Koach. How wonderful. Thank you, Ethan. Now, please join us on page 290 for the return of the Torah to the Ark. Please rise. Page 291.
Et chaim hi lamachazikim ba letoncheha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
Please be seated. Good Yontif. And Gemar Chatima Tova again. Lashana Tova. A few months ago, Spencer came home from preschool singing a song that I hadn't heard for years. It's one of those call and repeat songs, so you're all going to have to repeat after me. Okay, ready? Okay. We're going on a bear hunt.
Going on a bear hunt.
We're gonna catch a big one.
We're gonna catch a big one.
What a beautiful day.
What a beautiful day.
We're not scared.
We're not scared.
Uh-oh, grass.
Uh-oh, grass.
Long wavy grass.
Long wavy grass.
We can't go over it.
We can't go over it.
We can't go under it.
We can't go under it.
We've got to go through it.
We gotta go through it.
Swishy, swashy, swishy, swash. Swishy, swashy. Thanks for playing along. Thank you. Well, the song continues. I'm not going to subject you to the whole song. As the children in the story meet one mildly frightening roadblock after another on their adventure. There's a deep, cold river and thick, oozy mud. There's a deep, creepy cave, a dark, creepy cave. And they even find the bear. And these are definitely spooky for kids and maybe even some adults. And we're reminded throughout, we're not scared. And plus, maybe most importantly, we can't go over it. We can't go under it. We've got to go through it. It's an American folk song for children that was adapted into a book in 1989 by Michael Rosen. And maybe some of you have had to read it to your children, maybe many times, or you've seen the cute video that was made of it. I think there's even a musical that was made of it. And yet it hit me right in my kishkis when Spencer sang it to me this summer, right when my mother was declining in hospice. The words rang so true. And as deep as that deep, cold river in that song. It's a song presumably about an adventure, but what a safe way to learn that there are moments in our lives which might be unexpected and maybe even a little scary. And try as we might to get around them, we sure ain't avoiding them. We have to go through them. Can you imagine a more profound message to start learning as a 4-year-old? As adults, this is still a really tough message to fully embrace. And this past year, boy, has forced all of us, every single one of us, to wrestle with loss, frustration, sadness, loneliness, and isolation. We've stayed away from close relatives and friends for long periods of time. We've all been isolated in our homes for various lengths of time, some even longer due to being high risk. We've learned new behaviors and had to stop old ones. And ever since the pandemic of COVID-19 began more than 6 months ago, our world has changed in innumerable ways. And I sincerely hope that you've allowed yourself the time and the space to feel sad or to feel angry about it. And I'm sure there have been so many moments of joy throughout. But have you let yourself cry or mourn the losses that you've experienced? Or to feel angry about events you've missed out on? We feel all of this loss because of the very real fear of illness, of the legitimate concern of getting or passing along the novel coronavirus. We never would have guessed that there were to be times when going grocery shopping would feel like a life or death choice. Due to these concerns, there have been so many heartbreaking consequences. Some of us have experienced the cruelty of having a loved one die alone in a hospital since no one was allowed at their side. Personally, as my mother lay dying of pancreatic cancer in the hospital, my 3 siblings and I were told that only one of us could visit her for a brief 20 minutes every other day. Thank goodness we were counseled ultimately to bring her home, to die in peace surrounded by us all. And if your family experienced a life cycle event in this time, one of joy or sorrow, the added pressure of whether to hold it in person or how many to include is gut-wrenching, as you've rightly struggled to keep everyone safe. Funerals and shivas, which should be times filled with the comfort of family and friends, are quiet and empty and lonely. Happy events, which you may have been planning for a long time, have been canceled or postponed or completely reimagined until a time when it'll be safe to, God willing, have a large group of guests. Now, I don't just mean to sit here and list all the ways that we're depressed or frustrated. Instead, my intention is to give you permission to simply feel your feelings. Many of us push away our negative feelings for so long, we don't even know we have them. But think about, for instance, our Yisker service this afternoon. How it gives us time to allow our feelings of loss out in a contained setting so that we aren't mourning nonstop, We know that we have at least 4 times a year to experience our grief, either at home or in a safe, loving place surrounded by members of our synagogue community. As Dr. Henry Maudsley, a 19th century British psychiatrist, said, "A sorrow that has no vent in tears makes other organs weep." And so it is critical that we give ourselves spaces and times to give our souls time to feel their feelings. And there's no shame to admitting to depression, anxiety, or brokenness at this time, or any time for that matter. Those of us who struggle with depression or anxiety in a good year may find our illnesses exacerbated by current events. Others who have never struggled with mental illness may be surprised to find themselves feeling symptoms of depression. The American Medical Association shared in an August article, former First Lady Michelle Obama revealed last week that she is one of those people battling, quote, low-grade depression, and she has lots of company. 1 in 3 Americans is dealing with symptoms of stress or anxiety, according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau and the National Center for Health Statistics. Speaking on the Michelle Obama podcast, Mrs. Obama spoke about how COVID-19 and ongoing racial tensions across the country have affected her mental well-being. The following day, AMA immediate past president Patrice Harris, MD, MA, commended the former First Lady for her candor. Quote, "I thought it was important that Mrs. Obama talked about the fact that she's had difficult days and had some days where she feels like she had a low-grade depression," Dr. Harris said. "We're talking about mental health, and that's important," end quote. "Stigma has surrounded mental health for years," Dr. Harris said, "particularly among African Americans and Latinx. Now, with increased stressors such as job loss and financial insecurity, as well as the physical distancing required to limit the spread of the coronavirus, the risk of depression and anxiety is even more prevalent. Having a recognizable figure such as Michelle Obama openly acknowledge her struggles is helpful to dispel stigma." In our culture, we aren't taught to be sad very well. We're impatient with grief. And grief is a really good word for what a lot of us are feeling, for all kinds of the different losses that we've had since the pandemic began. In a book entitled Death and Grief, A Guide for Clergy, we read, shortly after a funeral, for instance, grief is something to be overcome rather than experienced. The result of these kinds of messages is to encourage the repression of the griever's thoughts and feelings. Refusing to allow tears, suffering in silence, and being strong are thought to be admirable behaviors. And now we just multiply that exponentially for an entire world experiencing the coronavirus. And now we see how we're all coping, or rather, how we're not coping. In her book, Mourning and Mitzvah, a guided journal for walking the mourner's path through grief to healing, Rabbi Ann Brenner asks the reader if we have a good role model for mourning. It's been exactly 2 months since my mom died. And when I encountered this question about a good role model, I realized I didn't have one for how to mourn. Thus, this has become really important to me to think about. And when you wonderful people have asked me how I'm doing, I've been fighting the cultural pressure to say, I'm fine. And instead I've tried to be honest, because I'm not fine. I'm really sad, and it's okay. You might recall that young Jackie Kennedy, frozen in silent grief, was credited with showing great dignity in leading our nation through the trauma of her husband's assassination. But in Mitzvah and Mourning, Rabbi Ann Brenner wonders about the personal cost of Jackie Kennedy's dignified and public grief, as well as the danger of a role model who did not shed a single tear. In later years, it was revealed that the president's young widow would go out in a boat far into the water where no one could hear her and scream at the horror that had come into her life and the lives of her children. It's healthy to allow the sadness of our experiences to come out. It's not weak, it's not dysfunctional, it's not going to destroy us. Rather, it strengthens us and it makes us more resilient. And on this day of Atonement, I wonder what we'd accomplish or experience if we took all that energy that we used to push away the sadness and the anger and instead used it elsewhere. This afternoon, you're invited to join Cantor Belinda and me at 3:30 for our contemplative afternoon service. Something brand new that we've titled, because we love alliterative or at least consonant-sounding things, Fetch Comfort and Courage. We're hoping to provide some space for the sadness, as well as for some deep breaths and comfort, which we all need plenty of this year. The sweet irony of the Bear Hunt song is that during this time of COVID-19, some families throughout America have actually started putting teddy bears in their front windows so that other families can go on walks or travel in their cars to go on socially distant real-life teddy bear hunts, just so that this time can be a little less scary. Because we can't go over it. We can't go under it. We have to go through it. And we have no choice but to go through all of this together. We're all in this thing together. So may we embrace the complexities of our current lives in a new way. May we allow ourselves to feel our feelings, to sit in the discomfort of our new normals, to cry, rage, stomp our feet, to reach out for a hug with safe people, to stay in bed a little longer if we need to take a long bath, to meditate, to color a mandala, to call a friend, to watch a funny movie or whatever we need, when we need. May we do the work to allow our whole selves to be present in each moment and to be the full souls that God meant us to be, because that is what will allow us to get through it together in the new year. Amen. Let's take a nice deep breath together. And now we'll turn to page 293, back in our Machzorim. We're now in a section of our service called Vidui Uslichot, the confession and forgiveness. Again, page 293. Because I was angry, because I didn't think, because I was exhausted and on edge, because I'd been drinking, because I can be mean, because I was reckless and selfish, because I was worried about money, because my marriage was dead, because other people were doing it, because I thought I could get away with it, because I did something wrong, because I'm in pain, because I wish I could undo it, because I hurt him, because I lost her trust, because I let them down, because I was self-destructive, because I was foolish, because I'm ashamed, because that's not who I am, because that's not who I want to be, because I want to be forgiven. God, bring down my walls of defensiveness and self-righteousness. Help me to stay in humility, please. Give me the strength to do what's right.
On page 294, we will continue with the Shema Kolenu, and just a really quick word. This prayer, if you look at the translation, just even the first 2 lines, hear our call, Adonai, our God, show us compassion, accept our prayer with love and goodwill. We're asking that God not turn away from us. And in Reform circles, this prayer has been deemed the prayer that the Shliach Tzibur, that the service leader says on behalf of the congregation. And in case anybody was worried, Harriet Fellows, my very much esteemed predecessor on the Bima here in her role, challenged me when I said, excuse me, no, actually traditionally, this was a call and response prayer. You'll be happy to know that it was confirmed. Harriet and I have resolved this particular issue, and we can move forward again doing it in a call and response format. So I will be doing this with Meg Gister, and if you feel so inclined to sing with us, please do. Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus v'rachem aleinu v'kabel b'rachamim uv'ratzon et tefilateinu Hashiveinu Hashiveinu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh yameinu kekedem Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu
Page 296, please rise. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, tavo lefanecha tefilatenu, ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו. אנחנו עזי פנים וקשי עורף לומר לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו חטאנו. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Please be seated. We continue with Ashamnu.
Ay, 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 Ashamnu,
Ashamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Evinu,
Evinu,
Behir Shanu,
Behir Shanu,
Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Tapanu Sheker,
Tafanu Sheker,
ay, 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 Yatsnura,
Yatsnura,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latsnu,
Latsnu,
Maradnu,
Maradnu,
Niatsnu,
Niatsnu,
Saranu,
Sararnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Pashanu,
Pashanu,
Saranu,
Sararnu,
Kishinu Oref,
Kishinu Ora,
ay, 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 Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu,
Titanu,
ay, 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 ay.
And together in the English. Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander. We devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey. We abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes. We are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill. We spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. And now we will be continuing silently with Vidui Rabbah, the long personal confession, through page 317. And we invite you to take your time reading through the prayers, as well as taking time to offer your own personal confession.
ratzon imre fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha yiyu leratzon imre fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goli. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to thee. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to thee.
And now we'll be hearing from our congregation's president, Andy Schatz.
Good morning. Yom Kippur generally brings consistency, tradition, comfort, even as we fast. Yet much about Yom Kippur this year of COVID is new, together but apart. Each year we recite, who by plague, and this past year the answer was overwhelming. Our hearts and prayers go out to those many who have lost loved ones, and to those who risk their lives to enable us literally to eat, to live, to dream of a better day. I'm honored to stand before you, but I have to tell you I'm not a logical congregation president from an institutional or personal perspective. I had never served on the synagogue board of directors, and though Schatz, as an American immigrant name, derives from Shliach Tzibur, literally messenger from the congregation, and historically, as Cantor Belinda noted, the prayer leader, I am not well versed in Hebrew nor in Jewish prayer or practice. I sometimes have felt like the man in synagogue who simply repeated Aleph, Bet, Gimel during the prayers, thinking, God knows what is in my heart and will put the letters together. I have been in some synagogues where I felt out of place, whether that was others' intent or not. But I've never experienced that here, and have even felt appreciated for my less informed questions or opinions. One of the many reasons I love this community. Fortunately, my shortcomings are nothing compared to the great people who make everything run smoothly here. Our rabbi, who is a true treasure, our great cantor and staff, expert volunteers on many committees, and such great work by former presidents and past and present board members. Like so many congregations, we are at a crossroads. Religion is less important to many, and we were warned that an inability to meet in our beautiful building during COVID would cost us many members and funds. That hasn't happened thanks to all of you. We are responding during this pandemic by moving simultaneously in many directions, innovating programs during the crisis, strategic planning for the longer term, focusing on our values and how to address generational changes and challenges. And though we are sad not to gather in person, we are realizing benefits from technology we never imagined. Cherished older members who hear better on Zoom. Devoted members spared a long drive. Loving members who spend part of their year far away, but whose spiritual home is with us. we will emerge stronger. Technology also makes new the story of the baseball fan who says, Rabbi, I've got this horrible dilemma. The Sox are playing a big game at the same time as the Yom Kippur services. What do I do? The rabbi says, that's why they invented the DVR. And the congregant says, Rabbi, what a great idea. I didn't know the services were on cable. Well, now services could be recorded. High holidays are about choosing wisely now more than ever. Yom Kippur focuses on Teshuvah, a personal return or renewal. I was very taken by a concept I heard from Rabbi Bellows, Elu ve'elu, literally these and these. It stems from the Talmudic story of direct and fierce conflict over halachic interpretation by the house of Hillel and the house of Shammai, until a voice from heaven says, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chaim, these and these are the words of the living God. Judaism values inclusion of different points of view, and even asserts that views seeming in direct conflict can both be correct. How can that be? Perhaps in Elu ve'elu, figuring out how both ideas can be right leads to discovery of yourself and others, of how seemingly conflicting positions might be reconciled, might lead to a higher truth, what others are thinking and how they are thinking. Of course, the concept of Elu tied in well to my long commitment to civil liberties and advocacy for free speech, ensuring freedom and engaging all ideas, the right process and the best thoughts. Yet personally, was I walking that talk? Does my white male privilege close me to other perspectives? Do I come across as too argumentative and unaccommodating? To some extent, that might be understandable. I come from a family of lawyers. My grandfather and both his siblings, my father and both his siblings, I and two of my three siblings, all lawyers. When my youngest brother went to business school, well, every family needs a client. So if there are any whom I have offended, I apologize and ask your forgiveness. And I'm also trying to change. In addition to trying to be more sensitive, I'm trying to use the word but less and the word and more. Elu ve'elu, these and these. To move from but, a word of division, to and, a word of addition. Using yes and to encourage more ideas, to encourage continuation of discussion. Yom Kippur is not only about Teshuvah as individuals, but also as a community, and our Vidui prayer seeks forgiveness for sins we, among the whole community, have committed. Elu ve'elu is also part of what we have tried to be as a congregation. Our past discussions of gun violence and BDS are only the most extreme examples of how we have tried to reach out to examine perspectives beyond our mainstream, to arrive at common values and meaningful action, not without controversy, but ultimately worth it. And perhaps Elu ve'elu could be most important in our even broader community, our country, for which we as Jews always include a prayer. Elu ve'elu is reflected in uniquely American concepts of free speech and religion, and in our national imagination. We view our nation as a cauldron of different ingredients. As Walt Whitman said in a poem titled Song of Myself, but equally about America, do I contradict myself? Very well then, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. Commitment to diversity and inclusion should include diverse ideas. Elu ve'elu, these and these. If we used the words yes and to engage, we might see real change. No one disputes that Black lives matter and that all lives matter, so isn't it strange that they should be seen in conflict? Perhaps using yes and would help us think and discuss and realize why in the world of logic, all lives matter includes Black lives, but in the real world, it often does not. Why it is necessary to proclaim Black lives matter. There's an old story of a rabbi overcome by emotion in shul who stands and cries, I am nothing, I am nothing. A big macher in the community rises next to him and follows suit. I am nothing, I am nothing. Then the community beggar stands next to the macher and joins in wailing, I am nothing, I am nothing. And in this great moment of unity before God, the macher points at the beggar on his right, says to the rabbi, look who thinks he's nothing. It's so much easier to divide than to unite. And now, as a nation, we are more divided than ever in our lifetimes, unfriending and canceling those who have been friends and who might yet become important allies, not even pausing to listen and possibly learn why others disagree. Perhaps part of our nation's response to COVID mirrors this broader plague of personal and communal intolerance, which started long before COVID and threatens to continue long after COVID is gone. Perhaps this Yom Kippur in 2020, in 5781, will provide not only the opportunity for teshuvah for each of us, but a unique hope for beginning renewal for our country and our world. For over 1 million years, division and fear of differences may have been productive for survival. Science suggests it may still be in our DNA. What makes us truly human, in God's image, is our ability to surpass those basic instincts, to be the beneficiary of our differences rather than its victim. Elu ve'elu is addition rather than division, consensus rather than conflict, love rather than hate. We learned as kids studying math that addition is much more simple than division. In the real world, we know addition can be much more difficult. We learned studying math that division is more powerful than addition. In the real world, we understand how addition can be much more powerful. Like the rabbi, big macher, and beggar in the story, each of us may sometimes feel like nothing. And in the world of math, where division is more powerful than addition, 3 times nothing is still nothing. But in the real world, where addition is more difficult, but so much more powerful, even when each of us may feel as nothing, elu ve'elu, together we can be so much more. This year, Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so.
Yasher Koach. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy. Just a quick review before a few last words, and our song of transition, because on Yom Kippur, our worship is considered one long day of worship, so we don't have a closing song this morning. We have a transitional song, and we're thought to be in prayer all day. Just a reminder that we have a 2 p.m. children's service, which is a different link, and Seth, my husband, will be sharing it, or has already, on the chat, in the chat box. If you'd like to join us in our children's service, it's appropriate for birth through 3rd grade. If you want to be with us, it's a lot of fun. Cantor Belinda and I, it's going to be energetic and meaningful and a really great time. So that's at 2 p.m. At 3:30, we have our fetch, comfort, and courage contemplative service. That's a lot of k sounds, and we love that. At 5 o'clock, once again, is our Yizkor Memorial Service. 5:45 is Ne'ilah, ending with that big shofar blast that we encourage you to share throughout your entire community. And I think that will be really, really special. And we have a lot of thank yous to share. And so, Cantor Belinda, please start us off.
They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, in our case, it has taken a community to create this community. And when I say this community, I mean this configuration, this exact grouping of people gathered together in this moment, in homes, in our beautiful sanctuary, in places that are both near and far. Months ago, this gathering had no shape or form whatsoever. It was a blank page. And the page was filled in one question and one answer at a time. It began with meetings with Rabbi Bellows and Meg Gister to discern what was going to be the most important elements that we needed to incorporate in these high holidays for this community, for you, for all of us gathered here right now. And from there it proceeded with Rebecca Bixon giving me the name of Steve Van Ness, owner of Impact Arts, who gave his knowledge and production freely and generously. Hours of brainstorming continued on with Steve Whitus, our CBSRZ, we think of him as our tech sound guy. And then with tech info in my head till I was ready to explode, I checked in with David Zalesnik to get his perspective. And he felt we were on the right track. And as it turns out, who knew that David was going to just literally jump in and be the man working this equipment after instruction, like he's been doing it all his life. Then Wendy tells me, you got to check out Lon Seidman's recent high school graduation shoot. And when I viewed it, of course she was right. It is a spectacular achievement. Lon Seidman, along with his time and savvy, has brought us the best cutting edge, yet keeping it simple, tech on the market. Okay, so who's going to keep us safe online? Make sure we're not going to be Zoom bombed by strange alien iPads. Well, that person is and has been Seth Lindenman. He is our man. But wait, we need to have our choir. What would our Yamim Norim be without their voices? The answer to that turned out to be Pat Smith, who coincidentally, thank you, Universe, has recently been building his own video production skills. And with choir director Meg Gister leading the charge, Pat, Meg, and choir produced, I hear, approximately in total 90 tracks that have been shining beacons of light during these difficult times. And in addition to the work on 90 tracks, Meg, whose endless dedication and commitment just rises above and beyond any words that I can ever share in terms of what that has meant professionally and spiritually. Meg and I worked countless hours to reshape the music in all of our services in an effort to inspire and uplift our collective souls. The catch was we had to figure out how to craft a service that was going to run in half the time that we usually have. No problem. Well, the pieces, they began to come together. And thank you, Rabbi and Seth, for, by the way, that beautiful Kol Nidre movie, the slides that we got to see of all of our wonderful congregants holding a Torah. And thank you, Rabbi Bellows, so much for, let's say, remaining open to the possibilities, not knowing what we were going to be facing in these months and what we could construct together, and all of your insights and wisdom and all of your teachings throughout. Thank you so much for all of that. So the once blank page filled with shape and form with the help of so many people. And folks, what has been most moving for me is how every person contacted, whether it be the members of our tech team, Meg Gister, our choir, Ritzi, Chesed, Wendy, Debbie, Gabais, Doug, Mark, every single person jumped, literally jumped, to be of service. And I will always remember Lon's mantra, or battle cry, depending on your perspective. And he'll tell me, and I'll hear this phrase now forever, don't worry, Belinda, I got this. We'll make it work. For everyone, for all of your selfless work, and for the interconnectedness in which we operated to arrive at this moment, I thank you with all my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to add to all of that beautiful gratitude, Belinda, I have to thank you As many of you know, this summer was very challenging for me personally with the decline and ultimate passing of my mother. And so I was away for much of this summer when a lot of the critical planning was taking place. And so though I was able to participate in a lot of it, mentally I was very, it was just very hard for me. And so a lot of the very early research had to take place with me in grief and in mourning. And so Belinda really took the, what would you say, the mantle? Is that the phrase? The gauntlet. Wait, I have to say it like that. The gauntlet, she took the gauntlet and led the research. And so it's really, really incredible how Belinda began the early research and the tech exploration of what we needed, and that was amazing. And so she deserves so many of the kudos for how this all happened. And always it's a pleasure and an honor and a privilege to share the bima with her, and she's just the best partner that I have ever had the joy of working with in all the ways we get to work together at this synagogue. Meg, thank you for your beautiful spirit, your just your heart that you pour into everything you do. When you should have been on vacation this summer, instead you were here and you were working so hard with the choir and with the recordings, and we are grateful for that. It was so much more than anybody expected of you, and you are precious to us. Choir members, wow. Even with social distancing and technology that you were figuring out on the fly, and your phones and your computers, you were recording, and it was amazing. And look at the beauty that we got to experience. And then Pat brought it all together, and it was magic. I know it's not magic, but it sure felt like magic and wizardry. Just like they say in Frozen, what is this sorcery? Thank you, Pat, for all of that, and to all of our tech team, to Lon and Pat and David and to Seth. We could not have done this without all of you, really, literally. Gabbis, Laura and Kevin, you're always much more visible. We get to see you wandering the room and tapping people on the shoulders, and you were much more behind the scenes this time, but nonetheless played a critical role in bringing it all together, and we're grateful you're here. People at home don't know that you're here in the room and doing still a lot, and so thank you for being here. Rebecca Bixon-Mozingo is our new RITSI chair this year, and so creative and did so much to help us personally as well as in the community, and I think we all got to experience a lot of her creativity with the totes and leading the RITSI committee to do so much, and we are grateful that you are in the role you're in, and we just adore you. Wendy, Debbie, Doug, and Mark, all of our staff here at the congregation are just the backbone of this congregation, and we love them and we treasure them. And I hope you all have a chance next time you call the temple or send in something or stop by to just tell them how much you appreciate them. Because it's easy to send in little, complaints or questions, but make sure to tell them how much you appreciate them and say thank you too. So to the whole RITSI committee, thank you. Andy Schatz, thank you for your words of wisdom, and to the entire executive committee and board, thank you for your hard work you do on behalf of the entire community. To our Ba'alei Tikiyah, our shofar sounders. Emily, Warren, you have stepped up, and throughout all of Elul, you have not only been sounding your shofar here, but also in many social justice settings. Rita Christopher, you are our emerita. You've been sounding the shofar for years, and we can't wait to hear you later. Alex Infeld, for a couple years now, you've been sounding the shofar. We can't wait to hear you all later this afternoon for our final Tikiyah Gedolah. Our Torah chanters, all of our participants, thank you so much. Izzy and Shelley, thank you for leading our Shabbat Shuvah Friday night service, our Lay-led service. Rick Hornig, our Shuvah scrollers, thank you. Everyone for your bravery and patience while we were trying something entirely new. And finally, Seth, thank you. Couldn't do this without you. You're my heart and soul, and you give me strength and help me get through this every year. So thank you, my love. You're the best. So we are going to turn it over one last time to Andy for a couple announcements, and then we will hear our transitional song.
Hello again. Hope you don't mind if I sit. Tough to fast and do all this, and I can't imagine, Rabbi and Belinda, how you do it, and you have more left. This thankfully is my last time. I want to second all those thanks to so many people for making these high holidays work so well and beautifully. Rabbi Bellows described all our services this afternoon: children's services at 2, citing brand new contemplative service at 3:30, Yisker at 5, Nila at 5:45. Unfortunately, we cannot have our traditional communal break the fast, but Rabbi and Belinda will lead us in the prayers to start that off, and we will leave open the Zoom so that any of us who would like to join with others to break the fast and talk can do so together on Zoom, new and unscripted. Sukkot begins this Friday with a service at 7:30 that evening, and again Saturday morning at 11 a.m., and this is repeated the following weekend on Friday and Saturday for Simchat Torah. Please check the emails from the office for further details. Please remember this week to return any prayer books you picked up from the synagogue. As we've said at every service, please continue to bring food or money donations for Shoreline Soup Kitchens and Pantries to the synagogue office. The need is greater than ever. Finally, to all the thanks expressed, I do want to add a special thanks to Rabbi Bellows for leading us throughout the holidays as she does so well throughout the year, and especially for her call to action for social justice last night. We have a special opportunity to help ensure that everyone who has the right to vote has the opportunity to have that vote counted. This is nonpartisan. It's been organized by the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism and approved by our board of directors in the name of CBSRZ. Help send postcards or text messages or make phone calls. I have to pass along a personal note. I made some phone calls a few weeks ago. Several people I spoke with in Florida did not know about the right to vote by mail. So this not only helps ensure voting, but keeps people as far away from COVID as possible. Our effort is being led by Joanne Price. Her contact information is in the member list and the most recent weekly email, and it will be repeated in the weekly email again this Thursday. Gemar Chatina Tova, may we all have a good year. Thank you.
And one final thank you, if I can just squeeze over here. Excuse me. Excuse me. Pardon me. Sorry. I have to thank also, finally, you may not know it, but our Chester Police Department has been keeping us safe here too. And they are just fantastic, and we adore them all. And they do it with a smile and with bravery, and they're just terrific. So thank you as well to the Chester PD. So, and now, some beautiful music to transition us out of this particular service experience. Thank you all. And pardon me, please enjoy your lectern.
What happens when you have fixed camera shots? Okay. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu V'amecha Yisrael
Letzion. Baruch atah
Gemar Chatima Tova.
Shana Tova.